Before dawn in northern Luzon, a single bridge carried an entire province's breath. Trucks idled. Fishermen waited. School children watched fog slide across steel. That morning, a foreign engineer arrived with documents, doubts, and authority. By nightfall, the bridge would ask him a question back, one measured not in data, but in survival. His name was Lucas Weber, a German structural engineer contracted by an international consortium. His resume spoke fluently in awards and audits. He believed in standards, numbers, margins of error. The Philippines, to him, was a beautiful place with complicated realities, heat, humidity, improvisation, and a bridge he quietly suspected had been built too quickly. The bridge arched over a wide brown river swollen by monsoon weeks. Concrete pylons rose like patient sentinels. To the villagers, it was lifeline and pride. To Lucas, it was an equation that felt unfinished. He walked its length, tapping expansion joints, studying hairline cracks, noting welding scars no blueprint admitted. Local engineers accompanied him. Filipino professionals in sun-faded vests, calm and observant. Their lead was engineer Ramon Alvarez, mid-40s, soft-spoken, eyes trained on the river's moods. Ramon listened as Lucas spoke of load factors and seismic redundancy. He did not interrupt. He only asked if Lucas had walked the bridge at sunrise yet. Lucas questioned the curing time of concrete poured during typhoon season. He questioned rebar sourcing. He questioned traffic limits already exceeded by necessity. His tone was precise, professional, firm. The village officials shifted uneasily. This bridge had passed inspections. It had survived floods. To question it now felt like questioning their judgment. Ramon finally spoke. He explained local adaptations, aggregate blends adjusted for humidity, reinforcement patterns learned from past quakes, drainage paths carved by hand after storms. These were not in German manuals. They were born from memory. Lucas nodded, unconvinced. Experience, he believed, must bow to calculation. By midday, clouds thickened. Rain began without warning, hammering the deck. River levels rose fast, brown and muscular. Traffic was halted, but convoy of fuel trucks was already on the bridge. Radios crackled. Lucas insisted on staying to observe stress behavior under live load. Ramon hesitated, then stayed too. The wind arrived like an argument, escalating. The bridge trembled, not violently, but enough to be felt in the bones. Lucas noted oscillation frequencies, impressed despite himself. Still, he pointed at a joint where water pooled, where drainage seemed insufficient. "This is where failure begins," he said, raising his voice over rain. Then the convoy stalled. One truck's engine died mid-span. The others braked hard. Weight settled unevenly. The bridge responded with a long, low groan, metal remembering every stress it had ever endured. Lucas felt it through his boots. This was no longer a model. It was a moment. Ramon moved first, directing drivers with hand signals, shouting calm into chaos. He ordered lighter vehicles off, spacing the heavy ones. Lucas radioed authorities, requesting immediate closure. The wind tore words apart. Rain blinded. The river climbed closer to the underside of the deck. A sudden jolt snapped conversation. One expansion joint shifted beyond tolerance. Not failure, but warning. Lucas's breath caught. His calculations raced. Suddenly inadequate. He realized something unsettling. The bridge was behaving differently than expected, redistributing stress along paths he had not predicted. Ramon crouched, feeling vibration with his palm, eyes closed as if listening to a pulse. He spoke quietly, almost to himself, then to Lucas. "She's holding," he said, "but she needs balance." Lucas stared. The bridge personified, not as steel, but as something alive. Another gust struck. The stalled truck rocked. For a second, everyone imagined collapse, the headlines, the blame, the river swallowing proof. Lucas felt trapped, physically and philosophically. He had questioned this bridge's safety. Now he was captive to it, dependent on choices he did not fully understand. Ramon ordered sandbags moved from the shoulder to counter lateral sway. Villagers, who had ignored earlier warnings, ran onto the bridge in raincoats, following his voice. They moved with urgency, but without panic, placing weight where Ramon pointed, like chess pieces on soaked concrete. Lucas protested, "Unauthorized personnel, added load." Ramon met his eyes. "We are not adding weight," he said. "We are moving it." The distinction landed hard. Lucas watched stress gauges shift, numbers bending toward stability. The bridge's groan softened. Minutes stretched. The river kissed the underside, but did not claim it. The stalled truck restarted, coughing, then moving under Ramon's hand signals. One by one, vehicles cleared the span. The bridge exhaled. Rain eased. Wind stepped back. When it was over, Lucas sat on the wet deck, shaking. His data tablet was soaked, useless. Ramon offered water. Neither spoke for a long moment. The bridge stood behind them, quiet now, unremarkable again. Later, under a temporary shelter, Lucas reviewed recordings. The bridge's behavior defied several assumptions he had brought with him. Redundancies existed outside formal design, choices shaped by flood seasons, by earthquakes survived, by communities refusing to rebuild from zero every decade. At the emergency debrief, Lucas spoke differently. He still cited concerns, still recommended improvements. But his tone had changed. He acknowledged adaptive engineering, undocumented but effective. He admitted that his models had gaps filled by local knowledge earned at real cost. Ramon listened, nodding. He did not claim victory. He spoke of collaboration, of blending standards with context. The officials relaxed. The bridge reopened with new protocols, shared authority. No press release captured the quiet shift that had occurred. That night, Lucas walked the bridge alone. The river receded, leaving debris tangled in piers. He touched the rail, feeling residual warmth from the day. He thought of how close certainty had come to collapsing under reality. He drafted a report unlike any he had written before. It recommended reinforcement, but also respect. It warned against dismissing solutions that could not be footnoted. It argued that safety was not only designed, it was lived. Months later, upgrades were completed. Drainage improved. Sensors installed. Training shared both ways. Lucas returned briefly, no longer as auditor alone, but as partner. He greeted villagers by name. The bridge carried heavier loads with quieter confidence. Ramon never spoke publicly about that day. To him, it was another storm, another decision. Bridges, he believed, were conversations between land and people. They answered honestly when asked correctly. For Lucas, the memory remained sharp. In Germany, he taught young engineers about that bridge, not as a failure narrowly avoided, but as a lesson in humility. He described the moment when equations ended and listening began. The bridge still stands, unremarkable to passing drivers. No plaque marks the day it tested a foreign expert. No documentary crew captured villagers moving sandbags under rain. Yet the river remembers. And so, do those who crossed. Authority had arrived with questions and left with answers it did not expect. Power had leaned on paper and found strength in people. The bridge did not prove anyone wrong. It simply revealed what had always been holding it up. In the Philippines, survival often hides inside cooperation. Not loud, not defiant, but patient. The bridge taught this without words, under storm and pressure, when validation mattered more than pride. Lucas never questioned Filipino engineering the same way again. He learned to ask differently, to stand on structures not just as tests, but as trust shared with those who built them. And every time rain begins before dawn in that province, the bridge carries on steel, concrete memory, quietly reminding anyone who crosses that safety is not only measured. Sometimes, it is proven when there is nowhere else to stand.